Folks, it's the first Saturday in May, a day where probably more than any other the sun shines bright on our state. But this year, we're going to have to do it a little bit different. Instead of being able to hand that Derby trophy to the winner, we're going to be doing it virtually thanks to the Courier Journal and their partners. While we are being healthy at home and saving lives out there, we can come together for a little fun and festivity too. I want to thank everybody who's helping to put this on. And folks, we're going to get through this. We're going to get through it together. Now let's come together with 150,000 plus virtual fans and friends and enjoy this virtual Derby.
It's the first Saturday in May here in Kentucky, a day filled with tradition, pageantry, and a lot of pride. And we know that well here at the Courier Journal. I'm Rick Green. I'm editor of the Courier Journal and also courierjournal.com. And for the past 145 years, our staff has covered every single Derby that is run here in beautiful Churchill Downs. So for the next few minutes, we want you to kick back and enjoy what we think will be the first and hopefully the last virtual Kentucky Derby show that we put on for you. And so without further ado, live from Churchill Downs, I want to turn it over to Catherine and Kirby. Ladies, let's talk Derby.
It's a beautiful day to celebrate at the legendary Churchill Downs racetrack. I'm Catherine.
And I'm Kirby. And as we say every year,
Let's talk Derby.
So tighten up your bow tie, put on your beautiful Derby hat, and pour yourself a mint julep.
Together we can toast to a different kind of Derby Day, a virtual celebration.
Before we join 150,000 race fans here at Churchill Downs,
we would like to introduce you to our team covering Derby Day in this spectacular event.
Covering the horses, it's Courier Journal sports reporter Jason Frakes.
And from the University of Louisville to perform My Old Kentucky Home, it's the Marching Cards.
Standing by with the hardware, the iconic Derby trophy, we have Chris Goodlett at the Kentucky Derby Museum.
And it wouldn't be Derby Day without Churchill Downs bugler Steve Buttleman performing the Kentucky Derby's tradition of the call to the post.
And even Louisville Mayor Greg Fisher is with us as he welcomes the world to Kentucky for this virtual Derby Day.
Hi everybody, Mayor Greg Fisher here. And on this very unusual first Saturday in May, I'd like to borrow from a few Kentucky Derby winners to express my sentiments for the day. Excuse me. Yes. Late breaking news, coronavirus scratched from Derby 146. So first, I hope that everyone in this community feels affirmed about the steps we are taking to stop the spread of COVID-19, starting with our request that you avoid genuine risk and behave yourself. Stay home and practice social distancing. Anything short of that is a foolish pleasure that can only hurt our city's efforts to move beyond the virus. We'd all regret that, and you might even get yourself a citation. I know it's tough, but just remind yourself it may be real quiet today, but the spirit of the Derby lives on. And soon we'll be back at Churchill, able to spend a buck and have unbridled fun as we watch the horses make their spectacular bid for the win. You might say I'm always dreaming, but trust me, it's coming. So thank you, Courier Journal, for helping strike the gold with this virtual 146 Kentucky Derby.
You know, one thing about celebrating a virtual Derby is that we can pick the weather, and we are sick and tired of all of the rain and clouds from the past couple of years.
But you know what? We're shooting this virtual Derby in front of a green screen, so we can pick whatever weather we want. As the late John Asher would say, it's always sunny and 75 at the Kentucky Derby.
In fact, it's the same perfect weather we chose for the virtual kickoff to the Kentucky Derby 2 weeks ago.
There wasn't a cloud in the sky for the Kentucky Derby Festival's gigantuan Thunder over Louisville, which includes the air show and fireworks.
In fact, we had perfect weather for the entire 2-week festival. The Kentucky Derby Festival Pegasus Parade takes place on Thursday, or Thurby. And the following day, of course, is the Kentucky Oaks. And that's when celebrities from the world of sports, movies, television, music, and more really start to flood into town. Hey, look over there. Is that Justin Hartley from NBC's This Is Us riding down Broadway?
I hope so.
The night before the Kentucky Derby, or Derby Eve, is filled with star-studded galas all across the city. Ooh, this won't do. Ah, that's better. Exactly what I need for Patricia Barnstable Brown's gala, where, if I'm not mistaken, there's Super Bowl quarterback Tom Brady and former UK football player Randall Cobb. And there he is. There is Green Bay Packer quarterback Aaron Rodgers.
I'm feeling great. I love this week. The guys look forward to it every year. This is obviously a staple event on our weekend itinerary every year. It's planned out really well. You know, we have an itinerary that goes out. I sent an email out 2 months ago, the official invite, making sure everybody gets their suits, you know, ready and their fits looking nice. But yeah, you know, you're dressed and ready by 9:30. A lot of people don't show up at the track till like 12 or 1, but we like to go in the morning, enjoy the time when it's not many people there, it's not crowded, and just enjoy the whole weekend. Tonight is our longest night. Tomorrow will be a little easier after a long day at the track, but boys are gonna have some fun.
I think we should make you an honorary Kentuckian.
I'd love to. I'm already honorary Canadian, but I'd rather be an honorary Kentuckian, I think.
These parties are so much fun that many celebrities like Travis Tritt, Kid Rock, Tanya Tucker, and Stephen Amell return year after year. Yep, there's Joey Fatone from NSYNC, and from the Backstreet Boys, Kevin Richardson.
Well, we're gonna get our Dapper Dan on.
I got a hat.
And we're gonna try to be dapper. We're gonna play some bets and have a great time and have a few mint juleps.
Oh yeah,
and
definitely a few of those.
And enjoy some mommy-daddy time away from the kids.
That's right.
And then it's hitting the road.
Yep.
And when the parties wind down in the wee hours of Saturday morning, those same celebrities turn right back around and show up at Churchill Downs.
Let's see which celebrities are here for the red carpet at Churchill Downs. Let's see, I see Jeff Bridges, and there's Anthony Anderson, and Katie Couric, one of my favorites. Let's see if we can talk to some of these celebs before they head upstairs to Millionaire's Row.
And usually when I'm here the night before, we drink heavily and eat like crap. Let's be real here. We're here like basically it's kind of like a party and vacation. So I usually get it really swollen, so my hands look like sausage fingers. Right now I could actually wear my ring. It's not falling, it's almost falling off, but it actually fits. Yeah. Yesterday I couldn't get it off.
So swollen. All right, I'm glad you're not swollen.
Thank you.
I left last night, the Barnstable Brown party.
You did.
When you were performing with Kevin and Howie.
Yep. We went up there and sang with Heaven and Cowie. It was great. It was one of those things where it's like, hey, when do we get a chance to do this?
It was like anybody who's a boy band fan, it was our fantasy.
Yeah, no, it was fun. It's always a good time with those guys. And it's always funny when people always think that there's some sort of like rivalry or something like that, some crazy thing that we don't get along, but we get along.
Are those hush puppies?
These are hush puppy.
Hush puppies?
Yeah, so it's a handmade, a little upscale. You know, these were given to me especially for this event. All I have to do is regulate the mint juleps.
Regulate something.
Regulate the mint juleps, that's all.
Right. I feel springy and super derby, and I love to wear this hat. I'm probably never going to take it off. It's going to become like my official brunch hat.
You said you were a little nervous about today.
You know what? I'm excited. I want to do a good job. I want to represent. Obviously, the Derby is a hugely iconic American sporting event. It's one of the things that when you think about, you know, in the United States, the iconic traditions that we have, and the Derby is one of them. So I want to represent really well.
I know you will.
Thank you.
You will.
Thanks
for coming.
From the famous to the fashions, and by the way, Catherine, I really like your fascinator.
Thank you, Kirby. I like yours too.
Well, everyone knows that the Kentucky Derby is really one grand fashion show for both women and men.
And look at all of these race fans. Don't they look fantastic? We love how they're coordinating their outfits for this virtual Kentucky Derby.
Of course, beautiful hats and fascinators are a big part of the Kentucky Derby, and Catherine and I have on some lovely fascinators made by Christine Moore, a featured milliner of the 146th Kentucky Derby. And like many milliners, she's busy now making face masks to fight the coronavirus.
So is Jenny Fannensteel, another featured milliner of the Kentucky Derby.
For me, it's the history in these items, with the hat blocks. You know, believe it or not, I feel like who made hats on these? You know, think about how many people made a hat on this many years ago.
Jenny Fannensteel is a modern-day hat maker who loves the touch and feel of techniques and materials used by milliners who made hats for the Kentucky Derby a century ago.
It's truly magical when they put on a hat that I've created for them. I've had customers cry. They stand a little taller, they smile a little bigger. It really does transform them.
Working with old objects, then adding her own modern touch, Fannensteel creates hats which delight her customers and speak to her soul.
And I've had customers tell me that, you know, after going out and wearing the hat, that they have felt invisible for years, and now they just feel beautiful and confident. So that's why I do what I do. I love making people feel good about themselves.
And of course, there are many men here in great hats at our virtual Kentucky Derby. And they're wearing some nice bow ties too.
If you're still fiddling with yours at home, we've got you covered. Here's Curtis Cody, the official photographer at Churchill Downs, with easy step-by-step instructions.
Hi, I'm Curtis Cody with Cody Photography. I'm the official track photographer of Churchill Downs. Today I'm going to show you how to tie a bow tie on my good friend here, Kevin Kirstein. You want to start by making sure your top button is buttons. A lot of people try to do it where it's not. When you start getting the finesse of the tie, you're going to end up with some problems where you are fighting this button. We're going to start by getting your tie at the very top end of the neck, in the seam of the collar. That's going to help you make sure that that's nice, top, and center. We're going to start by creating an X right here with the tie. We're going to pull a little bit of slack out of there and put the top part over and under the bottom part of the tie. This is going to create the framework for the tie. At this point, we're going to fold the tie over and create what you see of the tie. At that point, take the lower half, bring it over the top. It's going to create a cross. Pinch the two flaps together. This is the hard part. There's actually a little hole back here. You're going to take the bottom part of the tie and stick it with your thumb through that hole. That is going to create your bow tie. We're going to center everything out, get all the wrinkles out, and then pull the inside back flap tight, and then pull the top flap tight. Center your knot, and then you get dandy Kevin Kirstein.
You know, another guy who's dressed very dapper today, of course, is Courier Journal sports reporter Jason Frakes, and he's got the lowdown on all the horses for today's virtual race.
So who are some of the top horses going into the starting gate for our virtual Kentucky Derby? Well, not surprisingly, Bob Baffert has 3 undefeated colts who look to be stars of this 2020 virtual Kentucky Derby. We're going to start with Authentic. Authentic's 3 for 3, undefeated in his career. He won the San Felipe Derby out at St. Anita Park back in March. Some questions about his ability to go a mile and a quarter, but obviously one of Bob Baffert's top horses. Then you have Nadal, who's also 3 for 3. He won the Rebel at Oaklawn Park. He's named after Spanish tennis star Rafael Nadal. And then there's Charlatan. He's been compared to Justify because he hasn't been raced that much. He's only raced twice. He's won both of his races in impressive fashion and looked to be a star out of the Bob Baffert barn. So who are some of the other contenders? We're going to start with Tiz the Law. 4 for 5 in his career, winner of the Florida Derby. He's trained by Barkley Tag, owned by Saratoga Stable. You might know those two names from 2003. That was the trainer-owner combination for Funny Side, who won the Derby and Preakness before losing in the Belmont. Then you have Honore P., who was second to Authentic in the San Felipe. He's trained by John Sheriffs, who won the Kentucky Derby in 2005 with long shot Giacomo. And you can't forget Wells Bayou. Wells Bayou won the Louisiana Derby last month for trainer Brad Cox. And who can forget last year's Kentucky Derby finish, when Maximum Security was the first horse across the finish line. 22 minutes later, after a steward's review, Maximum Security was disqualified for interference. Country House was declared a winner at 65-1 odds, making him the second longest shot ever to win the race. And what about the jockeys? Mike Smith has ridden in 25 Kentucky Derbies, one short of the all-time record held by Bill Shoemaker. Smith rode in his first Derby back in 1984 and he's won the Run for the Roses twice, with Giacomo in 2005 and Justify in 2018.
The electricity, man, that's running through the air at the time is just crazy. But also how you can block all that out in some sort of way. You just get so focused, man. You're so you're trying to remember, it's a huge field most of the time. You're trying to, keep track of the horses you think that you need to be keeping track of, the ones you don't want to be behind. Just so many different things going on, and you become so focused, although there's hundreds of thousands, 100,000 people there, if not more. Somehow you're in tunnel vision until you get on that horse, and then you just warm up, and you're hoping that he warms up well, and then you get the starting gate. You're hoping he's standing good, handling all the pressure, and then of course once the bell rings, man, it's you hope your game plan is going as followed. If not, then there's plan A, B, C, D, all the way down to Z if you need it.
Thanks a lot, Jason. You've certainly earned yourself a mint julep. Happy virtual Derby Day to you.
And our Derby hats are off to all our infield Derby revelers. We love your crazy antics.
Now, horses can only enter the Derby once in a lifetime as 3-year-olds, but jockeys, they can enter year after year.
And have you ever wondered how fit these jockeys need to be to ride at 40 miles an hour? We were curious, so we sent Kirby to the gym to find out.
How fit do you have to be a Kentucky Derby jockey? Well, to find out, retired jockey Donna Barton Brothers, who has more than 1,100 wins to her name, joined me and 502 endurance trainer Jason Kelly at Covalence CrossFit Gym to take the same test given to prospective jockeys training in Europe. It's called the British Racing School Assessment. It's described as an incredibly demanding and difficult physical test, which tests the muscles and endurance required to successfully race a thoroughbred at breakneck speeds. The first challenge tests our endurance. Now, it's like those shuttle runs you did back in school PE class, sprinting between two fixed points, trying to get there before the bleep goes off, except that the bleep keeps getting closer and closer together as the levels increase. This next assessment separated the jockey from the weekend warrior. It's called the elastic band push to metronome.
It's just the fastest 2 minutes of sports.
And I found this incredibly difficult. I don't ever use these muscles. Sitting on a bench, we push a resistance band out in front of us until our arms lock out with every beat of the metronome for 3 minutes. And as you can see, it replicates the muscles needed to effectively use the reins on a racehorse. It's really tough.
Your horse is losing control, Kirby.
Finally, the soft cushion squat, where we stand on a soft mat, then adopt the push position, which involves squatting down in a manner similar to a jockey and holding it for 4 minutes. Now, based on these tests, a true British Racing School applicant must pass with a score of at least 70%. Although retired for 20 years, Donna still has what it takes to be a jockey and has the muscles and endurance to prove it.
Yeah, I think to be a great jockey, obviously you have to be strong, and the main muscles are your quads, your glutes, your lats, so like those wings on the side, and then your deltoid muscles, your biceps, so all of your arms, your back, your shoulder area and your lats, and particularly your quads and your glutes. And I think we hit all of them today, Kirby.
My takeaway, well, besides some very sore muscles and a bit of a bruised ego, jockeys must be incredibly fit, and I am most definitely not as fit as a jockey.
Well, I definitely will not be winning any trophies for my effort in that workout, but you know who will? The winner in today's virtual race. And to find out more, we're going to head over to talk to Chris Goodlett right now, who has the official Derby trophy at the Kentucky Derby Museum.
This is the Kentucky Derby Gold Cup, sometimes called the Kentucky Derby Trophy. It's presented to the owner of the winning horse for the Kentucky Derby. We make a new one each year. As far as we know, it's the only solid gold sporting trophy presented in the United States. It's 14 karat solid gold. First one was in 1924. Previous to that, we had intermittent times where we had trophies, but it didn't happen every year. So Matt Wynn worked with Lemon & Son here locally to create a permanent trophy that they could give to an owner of the winning horse. For the most part, this has been the same design ever since then. They did make a design change in 1999. If you look at the current trophy for 2020, you'll notice those horseshoe tines are up. Well, previous to 1999, the horseshoe tines were pointed down. They changed it because according to horseman's lore, horseshoe pointed down makes the luck run out.
Back here at Churchill Downs, the bourbon is definitely flowing. Look over there. It's Woodford Reserve Master Distiller Chris Morris, who's here with the $1,000 charity Woodford Reserve Mint Julep.
Want to whip up a less pricey julep at home? Well, Catherine and I stopped by the bar at the Brown Hotel, where many Kentucky Derby horse owners and trainers stop by for a julep on the weekend. Let's talk Derby. I'm Kirby.
And I'm Catherine, and we're here at the beautiful lobby bar at the Brown Hotel in Louisville to talk about the official drink of the Kentucky Derby.
Which happens to be the mint julep. Everyone knows that, right?
Well, maybe not everyone knows that.
Well, according to Churchill Downs, 120,000 of these delicious cocktails are sold on the first Saturday in May.
That's always the weekend of the Kentucky Derby.
How about we find out how to make one? I think Jay could tell us.
So the mint julep's not just tradition, but it's the official drink of the Kentucky Derby. To prepare it, start with a silver glass of crushed ice, Kentucky straight bourbon whiskey, little simple syrup, and some muddled mint.
And if you're wondering what a mint julep tastes like,
Tastes like Derby. Now you're wondering how much one of these will cost you at Churchill Downs on the first Saturday in May? The answer, $15.
And if you're pre-gaming here at the lobby bar at the Brown Hotel, $16 before and after your day at Churchill Downs. Well, everyone, it's almost time for the most iconic moment in our virtual Kentucky Derby. And for this, you may want to stand and grab a tissue.
That's right, it's the time-honored tradition of singing My Old Kentucky Home. And to lead us, it's the official band of the Kentucky Derby, the University of Louisville Marching Cards, who have performed at every Kentucky Derby since 1936. What's that commotion up there on Millionaire's Row?
You know, it could be the 45th President of the United States and the First Lady. There were rumors that President Trump might be flying in on Air Force One for the virtual Kentucky Derby.
You know, they were here one time before in 1999 when they were still dating. I think they bet on a horse named Stephen Got Even. Fortunately, it finished in 14th place that year. Do you hear that?
I do. It's that familiar 33 notes that alert trainers and jockeys and owners and race fans that the Kentucky Derby is about 10 minutes away.
The call to the post is a timeless Kentucky Derby tradition, and we're glad that we could have shared this grand day with you.
Virtually, anyway.
horses make their way to the starting gate, we want to wish you a very happy virtual Kentucky Derby.
And we're really glad that you could join us for this rather unusual Derby Day. You can continue the celebration over at Churchill Downs social media sites.
Use the hashtag KYDerbyAtHome to enter things like an online fashion contest.
Learn more about the history of the Kentucky Derby.
And lots more. I'm Catherine.
And I'm Kirby. Let's talk Derby.
Or as they say, they're off.
They're off in the Kentucky Derby.